You can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly,
There's no good to slavery, though.
Before I speak to the committee, I would like to address the transgender youth of the state of Arkansas as a real father does, a real father of a transgender child. No matter what happens here today, you are loved. You are loved. No matter what happens today, we will prevail over this injustice. I come here today knowing full well that nothing I say will persuade this committee. You're hell-bent on passing this bill and running it through the rest of the legislature. You know that this bill is unconstitutional and will not survive federal courts. The Supreme Court has already found that transgender Americans are protected from discrimination. Justice Neil Gorsuch, joined by 5 Supreme Court justices who still sit on the court, that's 6, that's a majority, wrote that it's impossible to discriminate against a person for being transgender without discriminating based on sex. And discrimination based on sex violates our U.S. Constitution. You know this bill will further stagnate our state's economy. Diversity and inclusion are good for business. Discrimination imposes enormous productivity costs and exerts undue burdens. No economy in the history of the world has flourished under policies of hatred. Business will leave this state. New business will not come to this state. Remember North Carolina? As a business owner who pays tens of thousands of dollars in taxes to this state and who employs transgender workers, I am offended that you would squander our limited taxpayer resources paying lawyers to defend this infantile nonsense in federal court. Many of you claim to live according to the Bible and your Christian religion. So you have certainly read Romans 16:33, in which Paul asks, who knows the mind of the Lord? Those of you who would pass this bill into the full House claim to know the mind of God. There are more genders than you are aware of. There are more biological sex than you are aware of. You do not know the mind of God. I sit before you as a father.
Your time is
Every
up.
constituent who votes or who will vote
Your
is a
time is
parent or a
up.
child. Every person affected by this bill.
Your time is up. Would you move him from one table?
Making health decisions for our families and our children. Someone very important to me who I love as unconditionally as I.
You had 2 minutes, like everyone else. Your time is up, sir. Thank you for your comments.
You are loved. We will prevail against. I'm relaxed as I can be. You are loved.
I don't think this is fair to the people that want to speak against the bill to limit their time when we have sat here for the last 45 minutes and listened to those who are in favor of the bill.
Representative Allen, I understand that. We have 16 people. If they speak 2 minutes apiece, that'll be about equal to what these other 4 have talked.
But those 16 people were on the agenda when it started. I think that if we're going to be fair with this, we should have limited it at the beginning and not at the end when we have people that want to speak against it.
No matter what happens here today, you are loved. You are loved. No matter what happens today, we will prevail over this injustice.
I was like, all right, let's wrestle, girl. Let's wrestle. Right on the ground, all that stuff. Got her cupped up. live TV. The body cam show. Body cams are my favorite thing to watch. I can watch live TV body cams all day. What? I hate it. This is great. I hate watching it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it.
If you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole.
There's no good to slavery, though. Let's go back to part 3 of this. Prohibit discussion of divisive concepts as part of a larger course of academic instruction. What does that mean?
Exactly what it says. I mean, the words on the page are if there's
But what is a larger course of academic instruction?
If you're having a discussion on whatever the case may be on slavery, then you can talk about everything dealing with slavery, the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole.
There's no good to slavery, though.
Well, then whatever the case may be, you're right. I didn't mean to imply that, and that I don't believe that, and I know that that's the case. But I'm using that good, bad, and ugly as a generic way of saying that you can teach any factually based anything, regardless.
None of us were around when slavery occurred. We can rely on the history that was written about that time. We can rely on primary documents that we have found, but nobody sitting here on the earth was around when the United States had slavery. So
none of us were alive when most of history was written.
History is constantly being written. It is a fluid concept.
How can history? A fact is a fact. So I don't understand what you mean by a fluid. Please explain to me what you mean by a fluid concept.
I'm saying history is yesterday. History is 2 days ago.
And what occurred. That's exactly what I'm saying. We agree on that.
But we can experience the same event and potentially have differing views.
When you teach a concept and you're giving all sides of the concept, and I'll
but
tell you, there's no good side to slavery. I get that. I don't think anybody in this room would argue that fact. I'd be really shocked if they did. But if there's a different concept that you're trying to teach, you teach the concept. You teach as it was conceptually brought in. And you don't give a personal opinion. You don't give a politically based, ideologically based opinion. You teach what occurred, what is generally accepted by the historians in the area, and what's prescribed by the curriculum that the district has chosen.
But I think there are some events that have occurred that there is no other side to teach, that many The Anti-Defamation League contacted me about this bill. And they're very concerned with the teachings of what happened during the Holocaust and what happened in Nazi Germany and the atrocities that happened. There is no good side to that. I don't know how you would teach a rounded perspective of that.
If it's factually based and what's generally accepted as being a fact of what occurred in history, you can teach it. I'm just saying you don't take a personal position. You don't bring political ideology in to influence that course of study.
Let me be clear, there's no room in our classrooms for things like critical race theory. Teaching kids to hate their country and to hate each other is not worth 1 red cent of taxpayer money.
Well, about 6 o'clock in the morning, there was a big bang, bang, bang on the door, and outside were seven FBI agents. They had a breakdown, I would say breakdown, but smash on my doors in a frightening way. Lucky I don't get frightened very easily. I handled them very professionally, and they handled me very professionally. I want to make that point. And they also got it from the iCloud.
I should have done this at the outset. I just want to make absolutely certain that we understand, our viewers understand, what it is the Justice Department says they're investigating. We've read it's a FARA violation. Is there something else? What have they said to you about what they're looking into?
They haven't said anything to me. They won't explain to me what they're looking into for 2 years. I can tell you, I never ever represented a foreign national. In fact, I have in my contracts a refusal to do it because from the time I got out of being mayor, I didn't want to lobby. Now, Hunter Biden's hard drives, Hunter Biden's hard drives. I mean, they could have been Donald Trump's. They could have been Vladimir Putin's. It's like projection. They're committing the crimes. Yeah, that.
Well, may I just interject to say it's, I think, literally projection.
It's a very, very unfair situation. You know, you have to understand Rudy. Rudy loves this country so much. It is so terrible when you see things that are going on in our country with the corruption and the problems, and then they go after Rudy Giuliani. It's very sad, actually.
By our count, Rudy Giuliani is at least the 3rd attorney to have his personal communications with former President Donald Trump seized by the Justice Department. Sense a theme here?
This is no longer a free. We might as well be in, East Berlin before the wall fell. This is tactics only known in a dictatorship.
I agree with that. I agree with that uncritically.
They're a disgrace to a great department.
It's shocking.
And they also got it from the iCloud.
Everyone should have, after last week, stood up and said, no, we will not have this in our Senate. It's still sexist.
There's a lot of different things that could be said about that with her vast experience and how she got her start into politics. In talking with some people, one thing that could be said is that, you can't use a paper straw for a milkshake, but maybe Kamala Harris could because of her vast experience.
Everyone should have, after last week, stood up and said, no, we will not have this in our Senate. Cannot make statements about straws and sipping. Not only should that have come from the women senators in this chamber, but it should have come from everyone who heard it or heard about it. Should have deemed it wrong, Senator Dom. You don't have to take it back. It's still sexist. It is still misogynistic. It is still, walk out. That's not the first time. It is still racist.
I'm not going to apologize for starting that conversation or apologize for my comments.